everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Women Need to Do Better. We are now on episode 17. This is all about the audacity to deserve. I am your host, Shelley Kirschman, and if this is your first time here, welcome to my safe space. I work with high performing, ambitious, very busy women who are tired of being last and want to have more time, less guilt, and, well, let's face it, we want it all, which is possible, by the way. Today, we're going to be taking a trip down memory lane and casting some light on the shadows that have been controlling our lives unconsciously. And it's not what you think. What we're going to be talking about is this virtue that has been drilled into us since we were young as an act of selflessness, but it is actually our prison. Now, before you go thinking, that's not me, I'm in complete control of the decisions I make, you to hang around until the end because you might be surprised what comes up. Just like so many other women I've been having conversations with, talking about it helps us recognize where we have been feeding into those same lies and what it means to be humble, what it means to have gratitude, and how we relate these things to being a good woman. And in this episode, I'm actually not talking about the confidence to speak up. We're going to be going deeper than that. This episode is all about deprogramming decades of conditioning that told you wanting more makes you greedy, that being proud of your accomplishments make you arrogant, and that your voice in certain company really doesn't matter as much as keeping the peace does. So stay with me to the end because we are going to uncover exactly what those subconscious programs are and how to rewrite them in 3 simple steps. So grab your coffee, your tea, or whatever drink of choice you have, get comfortable and hang out with me for a while because we are going to burn down some of those lies together. First thing I wanted to talk about are what are these dangerous, sweet lies, right? What kind of lies have we been fed from the time that we were young? Okay, so think about this. Have you ever had that voice echoing in your head on repeat where you just kind of automatically shut yourself down instead of encouraging yourself to say, yeah, it's okay if I want a little more? And whatever situation you're in, this is that voice that you get that just kind of says, no, it's fine. It's not that bad. You kind of talk yourself out of it. I should just be grateful. Probably heard it coined as being humble, right? Humility, meaning appreciating what you have and don't ask for more. How many times growing up have you heard a similar line to that? That's the programming I'm talking about. And the reason it's dangerous is because we equate that humility, that being humble, letting someone else have something as that's being good, that's taking that higher road. And sometimes we just do it because we crave to fit in. And that kind of humility is dressed up as a virtue, which goes so deep into how we make decisions. Somewhere along the line, we were told don't make waves or don't disrupt the peace, don't stir the pot. As somehow, if you're speaking up for something that you have a need for, it's disruptive. Or maybe you've heard about lowering your expectations, they're too unrealistic, right? Kind of code for stay small so others don't get uncomfortable. Or don't be greedy because somehow wanting fair treatment is greedy. Someone else got something and why is it so bad for you to want it too? Gratitude, meaning appreciating what you have and not asking for more. It's one of the biggest lies of all. Gratitude isn't about not appreciating what you have. You can appreciate what you have and you can still want more. So, what I'm trying to unpack here is the definition we give humility or being humble, what that really means. Because the way that we've been taught is the perfect trick to make us settle for less. That good enough job where you're undervalued and overworked, well, be grateful that you have a job, right? That relationship where you give 80% and you get 20% back. And I'm not just talking about an intimate partner. This could be a friendship. This could be a coworker. This could be any kind of relationship you have where you basically justify why it's okay that you don't ask for more. You put yourself in that position where you give so much and yet you are okay with getting less back. It's that life where you're constantly exhausted from managing everybody else's emotions. You're giving as much as you can of yourself, and it's tearing you down piece by piece because you're losing who you are, because you feel that you need to be humble and you shouldn't ask for someone else to do something for you. You're slowly disappearing because all of these things that you do, the decisions that you're making on autopilot, they don't hurt enough to make you leave or to stand up and say something. It never truly fills you up either, though. It's that slow drip. It's draining you, but you don't really realize it because it's so slow that day after day, it just becomes part of this is just how it is, right? And then if you start thinking about where you were and where you're at now, you might have forgotten what it feels like to be truly alive. And you know what the crazy pants part about this is? We've been convinced that that's what good women do. We give and give and give. How many times have you felt that wanting something more is selfish, is ungrateful? You're being too ambitious. Like somehow wanting more, being ambitious is for someone else, just not for you. You need to stay grounded. You need to stay comfortable. You need to stay where you're at, which is where it's safe, right? So let's break down this first sweet lie. We equate don't be greedy and being okay with less means that you're selfless. But are you really being greedy? Are you really asking for too much? Or have you just been programmed to expect less? So that way it feels like it's too much if you want more than what you have. Okay, so I'm going to paint a picture for you, kind of see what I'm talking about, real life scenarios, right? You're at a family gatherings, family gathering, and there's potluck, all this amazing food, so many desserts are left. And as the evening moves on, you know, food starts disappearing. Everybody's having a great time, but you go over to the table with food, with the desserts, right? And you've been wanting to just kind of save some space in your stomach. I've done this so many times. You eat a lot and then you're just kind of making room. You're waiting a little bit before you get the desserts. You don't want to be the first to just dig into the desserts, right? That's the nice thing to do. Well, there's one last piece of your favorite dessert. You haven't had any yet. You get there, you're about to take that piece. You even put it on your plate. And then your brother-in-law walks up, the same man who's already had three pieces. And he's like, "Ooh, is that the last one?" And what do? Instinctively, you smile. Go ahead, you can have it, even though you really wanted it. Because somehow we've been taught that wanting that last piece makes us selfish. Or how about you're at a meeting at work, right? And right before that meeting, you were talking to a male colleague in the break room about this great idea. You guys are looking forward to this meeting. You want to present this. You're super excited. You think it's going to really help your department. And as you're getting ready to talk about this, you want to share this, someone else starts talking, and then all of a sudden the moment passes and you don't see an opportunity to present your idea. And then all of a sudden, this colleague of yours pipes up, kind of interrupts the conversation, and presents your idea as if it's his own. And so you're sitting there thinking, well, I mean, when we were talking, he kind of was on the same line with what I already said. And so instead of saying something, you just kind of let it slide and let him take credit for your idea. Or how about when you're at like your in-laws and you've got your kids there, we're all having a good time and barbecue or something. And then your kids are acting up and you're trying to correct them, and your father-in-law undermines your parenting in front of everyone as you're trying to maintain rules for your child. And you feel that pit in your stomach. It's your in-laws, right? But Instead of addressing it and being like, hey, you know what? This is how we're trying to raise our kids. You brush it off, you let it go because keeping the peace feels so much more important than making other people's uncomfortable or starting conflict when all you're doing is you're trying to correct your child's behavior. Things like that. How many things can you think of in your own daily life where you've been conditioned to step back, to make room, to make everybody else's comfort more important than your own needs? That this is the autopilot that I'm talking about, the subconscious programming where we don't even realize that we're doing it sometimes. And this is not a virtue. This is not humility. This is self-abandonment. And I'm going to get personal with you because let me tell you, it took me years to unpack this kind of work, and I'm still doing the work. You know, I had thought that this wasn't me. When I first got into learning about this stuff, I thought, no, that can't be me because, I always believed that I was bold. I colored outside the lines. I lived outside the box. I know how to stand up for myself. But then my recent years of my self-development journey, the shifts that have happened in my life, forcing changes, and start evaluating how I behave in mixed company by myself, different scenarios, right? And I've realized that, you know what? For decades, I actually did buy into that belief that humility makes me better. That kind of humility where I step back from what I really want to say or what I really want to do makes me the bigger person, right? Well, it's the awareness. That's where everything starts, is being aware of what you're doing. These little things that I've been doing unconsciously in my life to stay quiet, to be agreeable in certain company. Because, like I said, I didn't think it was me because I've been bold, but you know what? I was only bold around certain people. And in mixed company, in certain company, I'm just trying to blend in so that I don't make other people uncomfortable. And recognizing that makes me realize that this belief was very deep in my life, in my actions, and my decisions. And I was trying to think, well, where did it start? And I realized I was praised when I would deflect compliments. I was told how proud they were of me when I downplayed my achievements to put everybody else's needs before mine, because I should be proud of myself and that should be good enough. It doesn't matter what other people think. I don't need to tell anybody because being proud of my accomplishments and telling other people was boastful and rude. And I think it depends on how you do it, but that's what I took away from that. My reward for the behavior of staying quiet, of taking the higher road, of putting other people ahead of me was the approval from those people that I loved, the acceptance, being complimented about, you know, being such a nice girl. And in retrospect, I realized that what this cost me is that the way I view myself is not the same as it could have been. Every time I downplayed my achievements, a piece of my power leaked away. Every compliment that I brushed off, subconsciously, I was reinforcing that my work isn't valuable. Every time I stayed quiet when I should have spoken up, I said, yeah, I did do a great job. I reinforced that belief that my accomplishments don't matter. And I told myself there was always someone better than me. And so there it started. I'd wear that mask that I call humility, which really leaked my power. And let me tell you what's wrong with that definition of humility, because I'm not saying that humility is a bad virtue. It is. It is a good virtue. But the way that we were taught humility, that's the problem I have. True humility isn't about thinking less about ourselves. It's about thinking about ourselves accurately, which means we're not hiding our gifts from the world. We're honoring them, honoring who we are, showing up and using them well. Because there's a huge difference between I'm nothing special and I know my value. I just don't need to prove it to anyone. And so I was talking about how I should be proud of my accomplishments. And I'm not saying that I was bragging, just bringing up my accomplishments. I'm talking about those scenarios where someone tells you, wow, you did a really good job on this, whatever it is. And when I reflect on when I was given compliments, I had it so ingrained in me that I just automatically would respond with some kind of way to make it small. Oh, it's not a big deal. Well, anybody could do it. Again, that reinforces that I'm nothing special. And here's the thing, the I'm nothing special versus the I know my value, I just don't need to prove it to anyone. The first one erases you. The second one, it anchors you. The most grounded, truly humble women that I know walk in unshakable confidence. Because real humility doesn't come from insecurity, it comes from the inner peace. And what I learned, and I absolutely love this, it can be this and that. Somehow we learned along the way that we have to choose this or that, but it doesn't have to be a choice of this or that. It can be both. Like you can be kind and grounded and humble, and you can still be powerful. An example, bold as hell. You can be grateful and you can still want more. You can be generous and you can still say no. You can love others and you can still honor yourself. This whole idea that you have to pick one or the other is the biggest lie that we've ever been sold. You don't have to pick. It's not an or, it's an and. I don't know if you can see yourself in the scenarios that I've mentioned or similar ones maybe that you have where you felt that you had to choose. I either speak up or I keep the peace. Can you think of a time when you've had to minimize the magic inside you, the things that make you excited that you want to talk about because somebody else might feel inadequate? I see you. I feel you. I was you. But here's the thing, you know now you can choose to not do that anymore. It all starts with that awareness. And that awareness is going to get you to recognize it is really that self talk, what you tell yourself that sets your price tag. And this definition of humility has created a critical inner voice to me when I was growing up. This is the thing that I've had to unpack. This is the thing I'm still working on. I'm great at it at times. And there are times that happen where I do have setbacks. But your self talk is your prophecy. Neuroscience backs this up. It's rewiring the beliefs that you have. So, what are those voices in your head? What are they saying to you right now? And you know what I'm talking about. It's that voice when you have a decision to make about something that's big and you're like, "Oh, I'm doing this." And then when it comes the time, you're like, "Wait a minute. Other people need me. I should focus on them first." Or you try to talk yourself out of it, that opportunity that you were going to go for. Well, what if there's someone else that's meant for it, that needs it more than I do, that's more qualified than I am? And you got to wonder who gave you permission to want more, right? Is that what that voice says? That's for other people, not for you. You're helping everybody. And if you go for that, then you're going to give less to other people. And that's that programming that if I want more for me, then that means, right? The either or, I'm giving less to others. I should just be grateful for what I have. Look at my life. It's good enough right now. Later, I'll go for that. But asking for something, needing more right now, that's just greedy. And the longest time, that's what I was doing. It was my way of keeping me safe, keeping me from rejection, from judgment, from failure. It's that messy life, right? But the thing that was the messiest was believing that voice, that humble part of me saying that I don't deserve more. The audacity to deserve. How dare? Who am I? Who am I to ask for more? Why do I deserve it? And that's that echo inside our voice that's trying to keep us safe. That's the residue from every time when we were young to now. Someone telling us, know your place, be realistic, step aside, don't make other people uncomfortable. This is what has happened when generations over generations we have watched the women above us, our mentors, the women that we love, the ones we look up to, shrink themselves to fit in those small spaces, seeing them put everyone else first. Well, here's the thing. What your self-talk is your beliefs, and that is going to control what you decide. But you can rewire that. Your words become your beliefs, and your beliefs become who you identify yourself as. And who you identify yourself as is going to set the standard for your entire life. That's why I'm saying your self talk is your prophecy. It's not a description of who you are, it's who you're being. And if that self talk is built on fear or of doubt or of downplaying your accomplishments, keeping you small, when? When are you going to build up the confidence? When are you going to raise your own standards for your life? Here's something to think about. If your inner voice had an Instagram account or was on TikTok doing reels, would you follow it or would you block it for being toxic? That's a good question. That's one of the best ways to reflect on what you're telling yourself. And if you're anything like I was, the things you tell yourself are not the things you tell your best friend, not the things you tell your kid, not the things you tell somebody that is looking for you for support. But that's that old programming trying to run the show. And when you can catch that, when you hear yourself talk, trying to talk yourself out of being bold, talk yourself out of wanting more, catch yourself. Put your hand on your heart and say, I hear you. You're scared. This is new. And thank you for trying to protect me. But I am safe and I want more now. The work that we're trying to do isn't silencing that voice, it's thanking her for the protection, right? Gently showing her that there is a new way and it is okay. It may not be known right now, but it's okay. We can still be safe and venture out into the unknown. So here's three simple steps to kind of rewrite that mindset, those beliefs, rewire the brain so that way we can get out of that old programming. Okay. The first step is going to be catching it. And this is not a judgment, right? This is that awareness piece. So for the next day, maybe two, just notice. Pay attention every time that voice pops up to kind of keep you quiet, to kind of talk yourself out of something that you maybe really want. How you try to convince yourself why it's okay to not have it. Just write it down. Don't judge it. Just observe like you're documenting wildlife. Okay? Then step two, you're going to check yourself on these. Ask yourself some questions. Would I say this to my daughter, to my best friend? Where did I first hear this message? Like, where is this coming from? And then the big question, is this actually my truth or is it coming out of fear? Think about why are you trying to talk yourself out of wanting something? Where's your truth behind it? And then the third step is to change it. Okay. You just rewrite a statement on a piece of paper that is the opposite of what you just told yourself, an empowered opposite. And it's not a fake affirmation or anything like that, but maybe ask it as a question so that way your brain is open to different possibilities. So instead of saying, like, who am I to be wanting something so expensive? Try, who am I to not want something expensive? What becomes possible? Instead of, I shouldn't take up so much space. I shouldn't make other people uncomfortable. Change that to what kind of magic happens when I show up? Who could I help set an example for? What is possible by going after my dreams? Kind of like, I don't want to seem arrogant. That's a big one. I've struggled with that one a lot. I'm a giver. I do so much. But then don't talk about how much you do. Don't tell everybody because that's going to be arrogant, right? Then shift that. How does my confidence give other people an example, permission to shine, show them what's possible? Here's some things to keep in mind. You don't owe anyone a smaller version of you. You're not responsible for managing other people's insecurities. A lot of times when you get a little bit of that pushback, it's their projection of how they feel about themselves that they're projecting onto you. Your light doesn't diminish anybody else's. It either is going to reflect back to them what they are missing, or it can give them permission to shine as well. I mean, think about it. As babies, have you watched babies? They weren't born believing that they're less. That's something that we were taught. But the good news is you can unlearn it, right? I mean, when have you ever seen a child say, "Oh, you know what? You go ahead and eat first. It's okay. I don't need to be first." Babies, especially, they are all about me, me, me. And what do? We dote on them. We don't tell them, how dare you? Like I said, when you're young, as you get older, it's that programming. You're told to expect less, ask for less, be less. But that's not your truth. That's generate that is generational conditioning that was meant to keep us in our place. And here's your permission slip. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to raise your standards and you're allowed to take up space and you don't have to apologize for it. Remember that your self-talk is your prophecy. It's going to set the standard for your entire life. So make sure the way that you talk to yourself is going to build the kind of life that you actually want to live. So here's my challenge to you. That 3 steps to change that thinking, to rewire how you respond, the catching it for the next day or two, just noticing, no judgment, just recognize when you start doing that. The step 2 is asking those questions, right? Is this really your truth? Where'd you hear that message? What made you believe that meant that? Is that something that you would tell to your friend, to your daughter, to a loved one? And then change it by rewriting the statement into an empowered opposite. Like, why not? What would happen? What are the possibilities if I did? That's the challenge to you. Catch that inner critic in action. Notice where you're still calling yourself limited and saying that's being humble. When are you settling for less, lowering your standard and calling it gratitude? Those are the things that we need to talk about. Those are the conversations that we have in our Facebook group. So if you want to join, if you're on Facebook, join my High Performing Leaders Confidence Lounge. I have a lot of real conversations there about how to break those kind of patterns. So remember, this is what I want to leave you with. Okay. You don't need to earn your worth through overgiving, overworking, making yourself small. You deserve more, not because you've done enough, but because you simply exist. It's okay to want more. It's okay to rise to higher ambitions. And here's the thing, it's okay to fail. Failure is not the enemy. I know it feels scary, but the only way you're going to grow is through experience and sometimes failures. The failures will show you what needs to change. So I want you to rise and feel free to do what you know inside that you're capable of without an apology. That's how women need to do better. I'm Shelley Kirschman, and until the next episode, keep raising those standards and be who you're meant to be. Sending out all my love and aloha. Until next time.